Ghostly tales, yet mirrors of human life. Hey everyone! Welcome to Encountering Chinese, Ghostly Tales from Zhai. Today, I'm going to tell you 3 short stories. The first story is titled Bao Zhu. Before the Prince of Pingxi, Wu Sangui rebelled against the Ming government. He once issued a proclamation to his soldiers, stating that whoever could capture a tiger alone would be rewarded with higher salary, elevated rank, and bestowed the title of tiger-capturing general. Among these tiger-capturing generals was a man named Bao Zhu. Bao Zhu's movements were agile and nimble, resembling those of an ape or monkey. In the palace of Wu Sangui, large beams and rafters were just being erected for the construction of tall buildings. Bao Zhu was able to climb up along the corners of the building, swiftly reaching the top in an instant. He could even stand on the ridge beam of the roof, briskly walking back and forth 3 or 4 times before leaping down and landing perfectly straight on the ground. Wu Sangui had a concubine who excelled in playing the pipa. The pipa she played had strings made of warm precious jade, and when held in her arms, the entire room could feel the warmth emanating from the jade. The concubine cherished her pipa dearly and never showed it to anyone without Wu Sangui's permission. One evening, while the Prince of Pingxi's palace was hosting a banquet with numerous guests, someone requested Wu Sangui to show the wonderful qualities of the pipa. Just as Wu Sangui was feeling lazy and reluctant to fetch it, he promised the guests that they could see it the next day. At that moment, Bao Zhu, standing beside Wu Sangui, said to everyone, "I can bring the pipa here without anyone knowing." Finding this intriguing, Wu Sangui instructed his attendants and guards both inside and outside the palace to be on alert, and then allowed Bao Zhu to go and fetch it. Bao Zhu swiftly scaled over a dozen courtyard walls and finally arrived at the residence of Wu Sangui's concubine. He saw that the concubine's house was brightly lit, with the door tightly locked. There was a parrot perched on a rack in the corridor. Bao Zhu imitated the sound of a cat, then mimicked the voice of the parrot, loudly exclaiming, "The cat is coming," while making urgent, flapping noises. Hearing the commotion, the concubine instructed her maid from inside the house. "Lu Nu, quickly go and see, the cat is about to kill the parrot." Bao Zhu then hid in the shadows. After a while, a woman carrying a lamp walked out the door, and as soon as she stepped away, Bao Zhu slipped into the concubine's room. He saw the concubine guarding the pipa on the table, so he simply took the pipa and swiftly left. The concubine screamed, "A thief is here!" The guards rushed out upon hearing the alarm, but they couldn't catch up with Bao Zhu, so they shot arrows at him, raining down like a storm. However, Bao Zhu leaped up onto a tall tree. There were over 30 locust trees below the wall, but Bao Zhu managed to maneuver among the branches like a bird, jumping from one branch to another. After navigating through the trees, he ascended to the roof. Running across the rooftops, he seemed to have grown wings, and in the blink of an eye, he disappeared into the night. At that moment, the guests in the hall were drinking, and Bao Zhu flew in with the pipa in his arms, landing gracefully in front of the banquet. Outside the hall, the door remained closed, and not a sound of rooster or dog could be heard. The second story is titled Scholar Willow. In the late Ming dynasty, a locust plague occurred in the Qingzhou and Yanzhou areas. Large swarms of locusts gradually descended into the fields of Yishui County, causing great concern to the county magistrate. One day, while the magistrate was sleeping in the back room of the county office, he suddenly dreamed that a scholar came to the county office to see him. The scholar wore a tall hat and green clothes, and was very tall. He claimed to have a good method to treat the locust plague. The magistrate hurriedly approached to inquire, and the scholar replied, "Tomorrow, on the southwest side of the county town, there will be a woman riding a heavily pregnant mother donkey. She is the goddess of locusts. If you plead with her, the locust plague will disappear." After waking up, the magistrate considered this dream unusual and promptly prepared food and wine, personally rushing to the south of the city. He waited for a long time and indeed found a woman with a high hair bun and a brown shawl, riding alone on an old gray donkey, slowly and laboriously walking north. The magistrate immediately lit incense, offered wine, and knelt by the roadside to greet her. When he saw the woman about to leave, the magistrate grabbed the donkey and refused to let her go. The woman asked, "Sir, what do you want to do?" The magistrate pleaded bitterly, "I am just a humble county magistrate, begging the great immortal for mercy. Please help our county get rid of the locust plague." The woman sighed and said, "It's hateful that scholar Willow is so talkative and has revealed my secret. I will make him suffer with his body. I promise you, I will no longer harm the crops in your county." After saying that, the woman drank 3 cups of wine offered by the magistrate and then disappeared. Later, large swarms of locusts did indeed fly to Yishui County, covering the sky, but they did not land in the fields of the county, but all flew to some willow trees nearby. Wherever the locusts passed, all the leaves on the trees were gone. The magistrate finally understood that the scholar Willow turned out to be the god of willow trees. Some people later said that it was the magistrate's concern for the people's food that moved the god of willow trees, and perhaps it was true. The third story is titled, The Little Figure. There was a Hanlon whose name I can no longer recall. One morning, while the Hanlon was lying in his study, he suddenly noticed a procession coming out from the corner of the hall. The horses in the procession were as big as frogs, and the people in the procession were thinner than fingers. There were about dozens of people in this small procession. Among them one looked like an official. He wore a black gauze hat, embroidered robe, and was even carried in a sedan chair. The procession gradually moved out of the study, and the Hanlon felt very strange, privately wondering if he was seeing things due to his drowsiness. Suddenly, he saw one of the small figures returning to the room, holding a small felt bag the size of a fist. The little figure walked straight to the Hanlon's bed and said, "My master has a small gift. He wants me to bring it to Mr. Hanlon." After speaking, the small figure stood there without taking out anything. After a moment, the little figure laughed and said, "This tiny little gift, I'm sure Mr. Hanlon won't find any use for it, so you might as well just give it to me." The scholar nodded awkwardly, and the little figure happily left. After that, such incidents never occurred again in the Hanlon study. Unfortunately, the Hanlon lacked the courage to inquire further about where those little people came from. All right. That's all for today's ghostly tales. Baozhu, Scholar Willow, and The Little Figure. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Please also encourage everyone to comment and share more. We'll see you in the next episode.